have never played a JRPG before, and it shows. Coming with experience playing games like Tales of Vesperia, Tales of Arise, Beyond Good and Evil,
I know, I bet you didn't think I knew about that one.
Eternal Sonata, The Lost Odyssey, so on and so forth, I feel like I have enough experience to talk about and defend the side quest of Final Fantasy XVI, which happens to be one of the biggest pain points for a lot of people's criticism towards this game. And welcome or welcome back. My name is Nadia, but you can call me Nad. I make videos all about Asian media, whether that's anime, video games, Asian films, and dramas. And today, we're defending the Final Fantasy XVI side quest, because I don't want to hear it. I don't want to hear it. In my opinion, this is probably one of the best mainline games of the modern era, okay? And I'm gonna tell you why. So you guys heard me list some older JRPGs that I grew up playing, and I just want to give you a little bit more context from where I'm coming from. I played the original Final Fantasy VII.
No, I didn't beat it.
Final Fantasy X, X-2, the 13 trilogy, 15, Kingdom Hearts 1, 2, and 3, and of course, 7 Remake, 7 Rebirth, 7 Intergrade. I'm nearing the end of Final Fantasy 16 and I'm not ready. When they said it's basically Game of Thrones and Final Fantasy had a baby, like that really hit the nail on the head for me. Like that is basically what Final Fantasy 16 is. I've played a wide range of specifically Final Fantasy games, mainline games, with their own set of side quests and systems. And I'm gonna be honest, across the board,
I hated most of them.
like I am not a fan of the side quest. I don't like it. I am a main storyline girl through and through. Every time I grew up and watched my mom play these games the first time, I told her to skip through the side quest so she could get back to the main story, because I'm like, what is gonna happen next? Because it's basically an interactive movie. That's what video games are. And I was tired of her doing all these little side missions, but she's like,
girl, I got this treasure I gotta get. I gotta unlock this item. I gotta grind and level up a little bit more.
which in hindsight, yeah, she's right. The side quests are made for you to level up, get stronger, so you don't have to keep dying on the same boss over and over and over again. See Final Fantasy X's, that little dragon thing. I think it's in, what, Besaid or something like that? Oh, I hated that boss fight. I could not get through it. Another thing, before diving into the nitty-gritty of why I feel like the hate on Final Fantasy XVI's side quest is unwarranted, I want to talk about how there was a rise of the bad gamer. And like, I feel like there's a couple different things that I attribute to this. Obviously, the boom of publicly facing women and female gamers in the gaming space. I feel like this really popped off late 2010s, especially since 2020. But we see a rise of women and girls and teen girls,
She, hers.
loving gaming, loving video games. And it wasn't just the cozy games. It wasn't just the Animal Crossings. Yes, that was the vast majority of it, and that was kind of like the gateway into getting into gaming during the time. But since then, it's evolved to Overwatch, to League of Legends, to obviously the Call of Duties, and of course the Final Fantasy of it all. We are now seeing Final Fantasy content creators who do Final Fantasy memes all the time. Love them too, they crack me up. And the same thing with like Kingdom Hearts. I wish I grew up seeing these content creators. Not to mention, there's people like Unaleska who streams on Twitch, but she has been a long time Final Fantasy content creator and Twitch streamer specifically. She's been sponsored to go to certain Square Enix events and given merch early. She has a really cool Final Fantasy collection, and she's like, I'm a 40 plus full-time streamer who streams and obsesses over Final Fantasy. Like, my future is bright. My future is bright, okay? She gets me. I'm not saying that Unaleska or any of these other female or women gamers are bad gamers per se. I can't really speak for myself, but I will say the reason a lot of women and female gamers start in the cozy space is because how overwhelming and daunting video games can be if you didn't grow up on it. Like, I grew up on video games, but it really is something of a learned skill you have to understand, especially when there's different formats or structures of gaming that you can play. You can go anywhere from like Tetris to like Overwatch and then and Smash Bros. I still can't get on the Smash Bros. Kind of thing. And it's just a lot. It's a lot when you're like a full-grown adult first getting into gaming. But enter in Final Fantasy VII the remake, and maybe this isn't the first one. Someone let me know what the first RPG game that decided to do this was. They introduced the idea of the story mode. We love story mode.
I am a hoe for the story mode.
I speak for myself when I say the reason I love the Final Fantasy series so much is how in-depth the story goes, and that's the only reason I want to play the games, because the stories are so good and multifaceted, but also because the characters are cute. Like, they're all cute, the girls and the boys. Whenever Final Fantasy VII decided to remake the original and come out with like upgraded graphics and models and everything, I knew I was gonna play it. Like, I had to, especially when it came out in 2021, something like that. Maybe it was 2020. I was down bad for that remake. Like, that's all I was doing during COVID. And the reason it made me so happy, even though I was nervous about playing it, because if you played the OG, it's kind of hard. Like, it's genuinely kind of hard. Partially because the graphics are subpar compared to modern day, like with Unreal Engine, but also just like all of the side quests and even the bosses and the mechanics of powering up, leveling up your skills, it's so much more involved than it is now. The way that they designed the interface with Final Fantasy VII Remake is so intuitive. It was impressive to play it in story mode and feel like I was still somewhat challenged,
But never actually died.
which was great. I could actually enjoy the story and feel engaged in the story as well. This was so successful, especially after the 13 trilogy of it all, because the 13 trilogy, their real-time fighting system was clunky, and it had a lot of pushback from the Final Fantasy community, but it paved the way for 15, for 7 Remake, and 7 Rebirth, and Integrate, and 16, of course. While the story mode made things easier, it did not make the side quest less annoying in Remake and Integrate and Rebirth. I want to get into why and kind of do a little comparison here between the 7 Remake and 16 and the differences, and why I think 16 side quest succeeds so much better than 7 Rebirths and Remake and so on and so forth. So like I said, I feel like 7 Remake side quests were so annoying. Like, a lot of them had nothing to do with the mainline story, and not to mention the obelisk, I don't know how to say that, but like, they're so annoying. Don't get me started on Gungaga. Don't get me started on Gungaga. Like, that shit was annoying. Like, I looked that up. I couldn't deal with it. It was so annoying. And then the canyon map after that, I can't. It just took so much fun out of it. Yeah, they were technically easy, but it was just annoying, and it's a time suck. And like, we saw this in 15 as well. A lot of the side quests in 15 were also time sucks, paired with the fact that you had to drive everywhere.
The video game that's not a driving video game.
I digress.
And a lot of the side quests in all of the 7 remakes, rebirths, integrates were contingent on which characters you were playing, or only certain characters would actually be a part of that side quest story. And yeah, it would build upon their specific lore, but it was nothing that really was memorable. Like, I think the only Final Fantasy VII side quest I genuinely remember enjoying was anything with like the cacti when they all turned into the cacti, like both Cloud and who else was it? Yuffie. That was funny to me. I enjoyed that. Other than that, I don't remember the rest of them. And then also the one beating like the Turtle King. He was hard. I don't remember the rest of them because they were all annoying. They were annoying. Now, when we look into the Final Fantasy 16, we see, yes, very easy, repetitive side quests, functionally very repetitive and kind of like the same shit over and over, whether it was kind of like hack and slash or just delivering some items from one person to the next while you had to kill a boss. But the thing is, the lore was there. And not just there, it makes you care about the depth of the side characters. And when I say this, I'm talking about the Blackthorns and understanding his backstory, because he's very much like a cold character when you first meet him in Final Fantasy 16 in the Hideaway. But he really becomes someone who opens up, and you see him as the artist he is, and the artist who cares more about the craft than he does about the bureaucracy of life. And I love that for him because
Same, Blackthorn, same. I'm not as grumpy as him, but same.
And I think about Elle and Theodore. When I tell you I cried when Theodore became Akashic, like I was tearing. My makeup was running. And I'm just like, I've only done one other side quest for this character. And there was only one other chapter where they were mainline to the story of Final Fantasy 16.
Why am I crying? Why am I crying?
Like, it ran that deep. And then not to mention the first half of Final Fantasy 16 before the time skip, where Clive was kind of coming to and getting out of like this depressive rut, and he's understanding how much people see the branded as just objects, and even a child seeing one as her pet, and then finding the pet when it's not alive anymore, and Clive having to teach this child like, hey, that's not a pet, that's a person who you need to take care of because they take care of you. And like, she's bawling, I'm bawling, you're bawling, Clive's mad. And it's like, damn, there was really a time where people who were my shade or darker were seen like this. And it's like life lessons there, life lessons, and also building upon existing lore. And then finally, I think the one that stuck with me the most is any of the side quests dealing with Quentin. This man built a new home after leaving some kind of like imperial whatever in the Final Fantasy 16 world, and he built a sanctuary for the branded that Sid and his crew free and let them choose to stay in the hideaway or go with Quentin. Quentin builds this new home for years on end and finally starts getting attacked by the people he left all those years ago. He decides it's time to take back what's his, to take his revenge, and in the process of it all, he loses 90% of the people he has. And it's heartbreaking. It's heartbreaking. He almost loses his own life if it wasn't for Clive. And he loses the home. It becomes flooded by ether that people can't survive in. And the thing is, Clive could have taken those survivors back to the hideaway. He could have taken Quentin back to the hideaway, but they remind Quentin, hey, you built this home for us. Yeah, there's only a handful of us left, but if you did it once, you can do it again. You're our home. Our family is home. Just thinking about it, I'm getting a little bit emotional. I think what sets the Final Fantasy XVI's side quests apart are the amount of stories that are also doubling up as true life lessons that are applicable to the Final Fantasy XVI universe and applicable to you and me, to the modern world. And there's just something so unique about that. It's memorable. Like, why have I remembered like 4 to 5 side quests from Final Fantasy 16? I don't remember barely any other ones from all the other Final Fantasies, and I think there's something special about that. And I'm only in my first run through of Final Fantasy 16. I want to try to do a second one on normal mode and not story mode. I'm probably gonna
I get my ass beat, not gonna lie.
and I gotta play the DLC. I'm excited! I'm hoping with the update to the normal or harder modes, I might get access to other side quests and other lore that I wouldn't have been able to before, because I genuinely want to, and I've never ever been that person who wanted to play the side quests, but here we are.
Make sure you like, share, and subscribe.
Like, comment, subscribe, notifications.
Hold on, let me run a bit. Make sure you like, comment, and subscribe. And don't forget to drop those hype points. They're going to be right below to the right. You just got to give us a few of those. Turn on your notifications so you don't miss out on anything.
Ooh. Anyways, let me know what you guys think of the side quests of Final Fantasy and how it's evolved over the years. Let me know if you agree or disagree with my points here. Leave them in the comments below. As you may or may not know, I've been a social media video producer. I have a video scripting template that you can purchase below in the description. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, hit the notification bell, and I'll see you guys in the next video.